Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Thursday. We are with you for the next 3 hours talking sports on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, 580WIBW.com, and live on our YouTube stream at our channel, 580 Sports Talk, and, of course, our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're checking out the show today, thanks so much for being a part of the audience here on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. I am with you for the duration. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. We have got 3 hours of sports talk for you. No Royals baseball tonight, but we do have some sports later tonight on the sports voice of Kansas, starting at 7:30 with pregame, an 8 o'clock kick from Arrowhead Stadium tonight. We'll have Gridiron Radio Network's coverage of Cincinnati versus Nebraska, one of several games on this opening Thursday night of week 1 of the college football season. And with all due respect to week 0, and certainly we must pay it all due respect here in the Sunflower State, because both K-State and KU opened their seasons in week 0 and played games of some consequence for different reasons. This feels like the start of college football season tonight, broadly. And this weekend is the broad beginning of the college football season. So we're going to talk some college football on the show today, a little national college football, look at who might make the playoff, who might be our dark horses, who do we like in the Heisman race, that kind of stuff. We'll get you all pumped up for college football, because I am pumped up for college. I've been pumped up for college football. You know, it is a unique situation that we all found ourselves in. Those of us who are fans of KU or K-State, or both, hey, maybe you like them both, I don't judge, to have had last week, week 0, be the start of the season, where a lot of years, week 0 is, okay, yeah, there's the Ireland game, and that's nice, and maybe there's like 4 or 5 other games, but none of them are of real consequence. Like, let's be honest, if week 0 had been KU had not played and K-State had not played, you wouldn't have felt like last week was the start of college football season. You would feel like right now, today, tonight, is the start of the college football season. I shouldn't even need to say tonight. You know, there's a game kicking off in less than an hour and a half. A good one, too. Boise State's a top 25 team. They take on South Florida, who's got an exciting quarterback in Byron Brown. If you didn't know that, now you know. There'll be a game on while we're doing the show, which is wild. So it is much more today the feeling of the curtain being drawn and the college football season starting. So we will talk about that. And again, pleased here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9 that we can bring you Gridiron Radio Network's coverage of the game at Arrowhead Stadium tonight. Cincinnati is listed as the home team, which is going to be immediately funny when you turn that game on, whether you're listening on the radio or watching, I believe it's an ESPN TV broadcast, and see that stadium looking as Husker red as it does in Lincoln on game days in the fall. It is going to sound like a Nebraska home game, which is what I am telling you. But it is officially a Cincinnati home game, which is kind of funny. There'll be the home team for the game. Quiet as this kept. It's another opportunity on a large stage for a Big 12 team to make a positive early statement. There'll be another one of those tomorrow night when Baylor plays Auburn. But tonight, Cincinnati, a team that there are some out there who think could be, I don't think a contender, but certainly a much improved team over what they were last year. They've got a lot of returners. They've got a stud on defense in Dante Corleone. They've got a quarterback who looks like he's at least not half bad in Brennan Sorsby. They're still coached by Scott Satterfield. But, like, they got some good players. So it's an interesting spot and a bit of a Big 12 showcase tonight. We are going to talk some college football on the program today. We'll talk some pro football as well. Nate Taylor at ESPN, interesting article about the Chiefs and their plan to be without Rashee Rice. In case you missed that news yesterday, Rashee Rice has been suspended for the first 6 games of this 2025 season. And clearly, the Chiefs have been prepared and had the wheels in motion to be prepared for that all along. And we'll talk about what it's going to look like on the field without Rashee Rice for those first 6 games. Also, our countdown to kickoff continues as we are 8 days away from the Chiefs and the Chargers in Sao Paulo, Brazil for week 1 of the 2025 season. 8 days shy of a game that counts. And on the countdown to kickoff today, we have who I consider to be the forgotten man when we have talked about the Chiefs' fortunes for 2025. And it's not any delinquency on our part necessarily, the radio show's part, or the collective Chief Observer part either. That was a bit of a train wreck of an English sentence. I apologize, but hopefully you got the gist. A player that just wasn't really around much in camp. Wasn't really around much in the preseason. So we didn't get the hype. We didn't get to see at length what it's going to look like with them on the team. But he might be a forgotten man, but I think he's super important to the Chiefs foundation for 2025. We'll get into that in our Chiefs countdown to kickoff. Oh, yeah, we'll talk some baseball, too, because the Royals kicked some tail last night. Always nice to have a breezy win, and the Royals haven't had many of those this year. It's only the 4th time this year that the Royals have scored in double digits and won comfortably. There's a couple 10-8, 10-7 wins in there, 11-6, that one in Baltimore earlier this year where they hit, I think, 7 home runs in that game, tied a club record. Haven't been a lot of real laughers this year. They had a laugher last night, 12-1 over the White Sox. They win the series. They finish up with another dominant season series win of the lowly White Sox. They go 10-3 against the Southsiders this year. And they finish that road trip through Detroit and Chicago at 500, which is kind of where we anticipated they might. All the way back when we started really looking at this thing and what it was going to take for the Royals to get to the number of wins they're going to need to get to in order to play in October. 500 road trip was always kind of baked in, but it also assumes a dominant homestand coming up. Starting with Detroit, that'll be Friday night, the first of 3. And yes, Tarek Skubal's pitching this weekend. He goes on Sunday. Royals are 2-0 against Skubal this year. No big deal. So we'll talk some baseball. We'll get into that in a little bit. Ryan Bergert, impressive last night. Him and Noah Cameron, great debuts for the Royals. The nerd numbers say they're a little lucky. How are they getting lucky? Or is it something that maybe isn't so much luck as it does come down to their own skill and the skill of those around them with the gloves on their hands behind them? We'll get into that too. One guest today, excited to have Rick Peterson on from TopSports.news, bottom of this hour for the local sports spotlight. Practices are underway. Competition starts next week. Week 1 of the high school football season across the state of Kansas is next Friday. There are jamborees this Friday, and then the games count for real starting next Friday. Our first 580 Preps game of the week next Friday. It's the War on 24, Rossville and Silver Lake, a game that needs no introduction. We'll be there from Rossville with the call of the game. It will be on our sister station, Country 106.9, due to a Royals conflict that night. But we will start our high school football coverage next Friday. But with sports right around the corner, we're excited to talk to Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. He will join us at the bottom of this hour for the local sports spotlight. Plus, all the other typical Thursday shenanigans on the show. We'll do a little either or over under. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines. I'm not going to hold y'all. It is a very slow news day. It is one of the slowest news days I can remember in the history of this program. It is that kind of slow. So, if we really dig into U.S. Open tennis, that's why. Also, the August semifinals of What Is Wrong With You today on the program. We have our 5 weekly winners, 3 full weeks, 2 short weeks, including this one. We'll have a play-in match. We'll have our semifinals. We will go from 5 to 2, and then we'll have our championship on Friday to crown our August winner, our 8th advancement into the year-end Tournament of Failed Champions coming in December. So that's all coming up on the show. And, of course, we want to hear from you. Text line is open, 785-272-9429. Shoot us a text, 785-272-9429. Or you can get at us in the chat on YouTube. If you are watching the program on YouTube today, 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Jump on in and join the chatters. Andrew is in today. Mark H., Vance, Paul. See Ryan and Tyler in the chat today already as well. Appreciate those of you who are on. Look forward to having more of you join. And just because we've reached our goal of 800 subscribers, which, in case you missed it yesterday, we have reached our stretch goal of 800 subscribers, does not mean that you cannot subscribe to 580 Sports Talk. Maybe you really wanted to be number 800 and you were just holding out. Well, help us build to our next stretch goal. Haven't decided what that is yet. Give us some time. We were really locked in on this one. We're going to need some time to brainstorm our next stretch goal for 900 subscribers. Start us on the road there, though. If you have not subscribed to the program on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. We're looking at mid-September for the arm wrestling match. And the reason we're looking at mid-September for the arm wrestling match is because, well, next week is the start of the NFL season. So we've got like a lot of stuff to talk about. And then the week after that, we're short every day because the Royals are making an East Coast road trip, their last East Coast trip of the season. So we got a week of short shows. We don't want to jam everything in plus the arm wrestling. We want to give it time to breathe. And so we're going to give it some time. We're going to hype it up. We're looking at that third week of September for the arm wrestling match between myself and Brendan Dworzinski that was promised and will be delivered on the program for a thank you for getting us to 800 subscribers. Tyler with a great suggestion for a stretch goal for 900 subscribers in the YouTube chat says home run derby. I would wash these dudes. I'm telling you right now. Nobody's in here to hear me. Trust me when I tell you, I would wash my colleagues in a home run derby. I might not be able to stand up or hold my son the next day, but you trust me, I am swinging for the downs. Trust me on that. They don't want this smoke. That's a promise. Speaking of home run derby, only 2 home runs for the Royals last night, but 12 runs, one of their best offensive performances of the season, an emphatic end to the season series against the White Sox and the road trip that took them through Detroit and Chicago. Playoff odds ticked up 26% playoff odds, according to Baseball Reference. Fangraphs a little slower to move the dial upward. 14.5% chance, according to Fangraphs, that the Royals make the playoffs going into today's action. An 8-run 5th inning blew the game open. Right up until then, it looked like the first 2 nights of the series had looked, where the Royals just couldn't generate anything against the White Sox starting pitcher. And then Le Deluge, started by Salvador Perez's home run. Been a minute since Salvy's left the ballpark with consistency. He had that really hot stretch of power. He cooled off a little bit here in August, but still flexing that muscle. He's going to get to 25 home runs. He's getting closer now because he had 3 RBI in the inning. Getting closer now, climbing up the career charts. He's up to 3rd all-time in RBI in Royals history, passing Amos Otis last night. Bobby Witt Jr. had the 2-run single. Most of this happened with 2 outs. The 7 of the 8 runs of the inning scored with 2 outs. Bobby Witt Jr., 2-run single. Vinny Pasquantino, 2-run single. Salvador Perez, 2-run double. Adam Frazier, an RBI bloop double to cap it off. And by that point, it was 8-1, and the game was pretty well over. Mike Yastrzemski added a few runs of insurance with a home run. Man, how good has he been as a Royal? What an addition Mike Yastrzemski has been. Again, I have to laugh because the totally understandable reaction when the Royals acquired Mike Yastrzemski was, man, this lineup needs power, and they just added a guy with 8 home runs in 96 games with a career high of 25 home runs all the way back in 2021. You needed power. You needed thump. Mike Yastrzemski's got 13 extra base hits and 6 home runs in 87 plate appearances. He's slugging over 600. He says, oh, I'm not a power bat, huh? We'll show you. He's got more extra base hits this year than Drew Waters had in over 200 plate appearances for the Royals. Quite the upgrade. Very impressive bit of business. Being on a team, going places, changing the scenery up a little bit seems to have done wonders for Carl Yastrzemski's grandson. So the Royals score 12, and obviously that's the headline. But also impressive, once again, the work on the mound of the rookie right-hander Ryan Bergert, who went 6 innings for the first time this year. Remember, the metronomic consistency of his first 4 starts. He had pitched into the 6th and recorded at least 1 out in the 6th inning in all 4 of his starts, and he had allowed exactly 2 runs in all 4 of his starts. One of those, only one of the runs was earned. Last night, changed it up a little bit. He went full 6 and only allowed 1 total run on 6 hits. Only 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. Did give up a home run to Andrew Benintendi that opened the scoring in the 4th. But that was it. He was feeding guys crumbs the rest of the night. Needed 98 pitches to get through those 6 innings. Handed it off to the bullpen. Bolin, Zerpa, Lynch took care of the rest, 1 inning at a time. But I want to talk about Bergert. I want to talk about the young Royals pitchers. Spencer dug this up from X, and Nick Capel, who works for the Royals PR department. Among major league rookie starters with at least 10 starts this season, Ryan Bergert's 2.67 earned run average is tops. Noah Cameron's 2.92 ERA is third. Bergert and Cameron are second and third among rookies in that category with that qualifier in opponent batting average, behind only Milwaukee flamethrower Jacob Misiorowski. They're also both behind Misiorowski in opposing OPS, second and third. Bergert and Cameron in that order. And when it comes to WHIP, walks plus hits divided by innings pitched, a loose measure of how many base runners you're allowing per inning. Noah Cameron first, Ryan Bergert third, with Misiorowski in the middle there. And remember, Misiorowski was an all-star. So Cameron and Bergert have been really good, and even getting beyond the surface numbers, they've had some good results. They've minimized traffic and certainly minimized run scoring, which is the name of the game. But an even deeper dive into the more advanced statistics suggests that they have overperformed their peripheral numbers. You've heard us refer on this show to fielding independent pitching, which is a number that looks like an earned run average, only it strips away everything that the pitcher doesn't control. And it factors in home runs and walks and strikeouts. Strikeouts good, walks bad, home runs bad. A pitcher who strikes out a lot of guys and doesn't walk a lot of guys and doesn't give up many home runs is going to have a really low fielding independent number. Noah Cameron's 2.92 ERA comes with a 4.10 fielding independent pitching number. Ryan Bergert has a 2.54 earned run average as a Royal, but a 4.04 fielding independent number. So the way that you can broadly interpret that is that they have benefited from some good fortune, some good batted ball luck. The fact that when they have given up home runs, there hasn't been a lot of traffic in front of them. But let's really ask the question, because that's the way you can dismiss these guys, right? Say, yeah, it's a little fluky. You know, they're outperforming their peripherals. And it's one way to just kind of be a little bit dismissive of what these guys have accomplished as rookies. To suggest that, okay, yeah, maybe they're not going to pitch like frontline aces, or at least have ERAs that look like those a frontline ace would carry moving forward. First of all, okay, fine. If these guys are closer to, 3.5, 3.6 ERA, you know what they both are on pre-arbitration salaries? Incredibly valuable players. Like, there is nothing I can say that should make anybody less excited about having these two guys looking like rotation stalwarts for the next 5 years for the Royals. That's a pretty nice deal. But how do you outperform your peripheral numbers? How do you get better results than your strikeout rates and your walk rates and your home run rates suggest that you should? How do you outperform that? Well, it's a variety of things, right? But what it comes down to is you're stranding base runners, or you're just not allowing them by more traditional means. You're not giving away a lot of free passes, but also you're not giving up a lot of hits. Well, How do you not give up hits? Again, that's what fielding independent pitching is designed to minimize a pitcher's ability to do that. Fielding independent on its own says the pitcher has no control over whether or not they give up a hit. I don't believe that, and I bet you don't either. That's why it's a useful metric to an extent, but it's not the be-all, end-all. I've never presented a number to any of you when I get in the weeds with this statistical stuff. And I know for some of you, you don't like it, and some of you are interested in it, and that's fine. Like I've never claimed that there's one number or another that is a be-all, end-all statistical measurement. And I won't claim this one is either. I think it does have its faults. I think it does have its limitations, because I do think that a pitcher does have some control over whether or not a batted ball they allow ends up a hit. How can you best give yourself a chance to not give up a hit when the batter makes contact? Well, put it where they can't hit it hard. Miss barrels. Talk about missing bats a lot. And that's the most valuable thing you can do as a pitcher, obviously, because it is the one way to get it out that doesn't involve the defense. Miss a bat. Get strike 3. That is the most valuable thing you can do. And Cameron and Bergert both have the ability to do that, but they are not elite at it. You would not say that they have elite strikeout numbers. Noah Cameron's striking out less than 7 batters per 9. Ryan Bergert's at just under 8 per 9. So it's not an elite skill that those guys look to have moving forward. But avoiding hard contact, I think that is a skill. And both of these guys appear to have it. Cameron more so than Bergert. Our favorite site, Baseball Savant, my favorite site, one of my favorite websites. I go to Baseball Savant, Baseball Reference, and Fangraphs, and I probably spend an hour on those 3 websites every day. And some of it's for show prep, and some of it's just to, like, look. But I was over at Baseball Savant, and I went and looked at barrel percentage and hard hit percentage. How often a pitcher is allowing the ball to be barreled, which again, that is optimum exit velocity and optimum launch angle, and how often they are allowing the ball to be hit hard, which is just optimal exit velocity. Ryan Bergert is above average at that. Both of those things. He's in the 64th percentile in barrel percentage, 65th percentile in hard hit percentage. He's above average in both categories. Noah Cameron's even better. He's in the 76th percentile when it comes to hard hit percentage, and when it comes to barrel. And again, when you barrel the ball, that is the optimum way to hit a ball that produces optimal outcomes for hitters. Doesn't always produce optimal outcomes, but more often than not will produce an extra base hit or a home run, damaging contact. Noah Cameron's in the 90th percentile among all major league pitchers in barrel percentage allowed. These guys have avoided hard contact. And here's the other thing that helps you overperform what your peripherals suggest. Great defense. And the Royals have the best defensive shortstop in Major League Baseball this year in Bobby Witt Jr. He's going to win his 2nd Gold Glove, which is remarkable. Like, you remember as a rookie, we were talking about Bobby Witt Jr. Is he a shortstop? Or maybe he was more comfortable at third base. And now he's going to win his 2nd straight Gold Glove. Sometimes it takes time, even for the guys as gifted as he is. But he's an elite defender over at short. Michael Garcia is well above average at third base, and Kyle Isbell's above average at center field. And who gets the most action? Who are the most important defensive players on the field? It's those guys. And them being as good as they are helps to overcome the fact that maybe the next important defensive position in the field, second base, Jonathan India, has been bad. But that's how these pitchers have set themselves up for success. They have not done it by being overpowering. They are not going to put up Cole Reagan's like strikeout numbers. But they're going to put the ball where you can't hit it hard. And when you do hit it, you're hitting it to somebody who's going to get you out, somebody who's going to make a play. And the third thing, stranding base runners, that's mental toughness. That's mental toughness to not fold when there's 2 on and 2 out. You make a pitch to get out of the inning. I do think that's a skill too. I do think that speaks to a pitcher's fortitude more than, well, they just got lucky. So sometimes you do, right? There's always an element of good or bad fortune when it comes to any sport. But I think these guys have some fortitude. I think these guys have the ability to put the ball in spots where they do not tend to give up hard contact. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of these guys. And even if they aren't putting up ERAs in the 2s all the time, they're still going to be guys you're happy to see on the mound every 5 days. And for a team like the Royals, that is a massive development, because what it means is they don't have to go looking for starting pitching. They're set. Their rotation next year's set. And then if they do decide to spend a little more money in free agency, they can go and get themselves some more bats. It's a good win last night. Good performance from Bergert. Royals are back to 4 games over 500. They are off tonight. We'll take a break. When we come back, quick thought about the Chiefs and life without Rashee Rice. And then we'll be joined by Rick Peterson of TopSports.news for the local sports spotlight. We got so much more to get to on this Thursday. We're glad you're along on 580 Sports Talk. We're going to talk local sports with Rick Peterson at TopSports.news here in just a little bit. Nate Taylor, Chiefs beat writer of ESPN, has the details on yesterday's news of a settled suspension between the NFL, the NFLPA, and Rashee Rice. Chiefs wide receiver will be suspended for the first 6 games of 2025. Taylor writes, according to sources with knowledge of his thinking, Rice agreed to the 6-game suspension Wednesday for multiple reasons. He knew there wasn't a guarantee his suspension would have been reduced. Later on in the story, another reason Rice agreed to the suspension is because he wanted to serve his punishment early in the season, which would not complicate his availability in November or December. The 6-week term will also ensure that Rice's knee is as strong as possible for a crucial upcoming chapter in his career. That's an interesting note there. Chapter in his career. It's not just about the team here. It is very much about the team because November and December, the most important time of the year, that's usually when the Chiefs start revving up and getting into playoff form, and Rice is going to be available for those games. But the note about upcoming chapter in his career, next year will be Rashee Rice's 4th year in the NFL. If you know the NFL, you know what comes after 4 years for a non-first round pick, free agency. So this is a big year for Rashee Rice to prove his worth to the Chiefs. Maybe prove that he is deserving of a long-term extension. Something to monitor this year as far as Rashee Rice goes. Obviously, the Chiefs have, as contract extensions go, bigger fish to fry. They want to get one done with Trent McDuffie, and I'm sure that will be the top priority if that doesn't get done this season of the next offseason. But don't be surprised if there's some talk about an extension for Rice as well. As for who will replace Rice on the field, Taylor's reporting indicates it'll be Juju Smith-Schuster and Hollywood Brown lining up in the slot for the first 6 games of the season. We'll see how much Hollywood Brown we see. Obviously didn't see him in the preseason. Juju seems like the guy to most immediately benefit in terms of playing time, targets, catches, things of that nature. And that would mean that your outside receivers will probably be Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton for a lot of plays. And also indicates that we'll see plenty of 2 tight end stuff from the Chiefs. But if you watch enough of the Chiefs, you pretty much expected that already. So that's the direction the Chiefs are heading, sort of the postscript, or at least the anticipated postscript on the news of the suspension from yesterday. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back, talk some local sports with Rick Peterson of TopSports.news next. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our good friend Rick Peterson of TopSports.news for the local sports spotlight. We do it every Thursday at this time here on 580 Sports Talk. Pistol covers Shawnee County High School sports and the Washburn Ichabods for TopSports.news. And he joins us now. And Pistol, I know that you have been publishing over at TopSports.news of late your practice reviews and previews of all of these Shawnee County High School football teams. So let's go around the county a little bit and some of your first impressions. And I'll start with the one that you published earlier today for a little bit of synergy for you. Topeka West. Obviously, that's a program that's been down for quite some time. And Trey Parker has finally brought the program some stability at head coach, but they're still trying to dig their way out. And it's no easy task in the United Kansas Conference. But if I know one thing about Trey, he's always going to be optimistic, always going to believe in his guys. And they were really young last year, and it looks like they'll continue to be really young again this year.
Yeah, and they will be. But I think, the more they get under the program with Trey, and this is his third full year. He came on in 2022 as interim with 3 games left. And then this is his third year. I think he's getting some stability, as you said. His numbers are up. When you go out to practice, they just seem to be really enthusiastic and working hard. Sometimes you have to judge things by more than just wins. And I think they've made good progress. It's just like you said, in that league, sometimes it doesn't always show up on the record.
It's just the hardest thing to do is make that step to competitiveness sometimes. And there have been too many games over the last recent years where Topeka West has struggled to be competitive. That's the next step they've got to make. They've got to be more competitive more often. And I think we saw towards the end of last season, they won their second to last game and then regular season game. And then they were competitive in a loss to Piper. And it felt like those 2 games were sort of building blocks for them as, again, they return a lot of really young players, including a sophomore starting quarterback in Josiah Wilkie.
Yeah, and I think Josiah, Trey's really high on Josiah. He really likes Webb at running back. They got a couple of good linemen. They got a couple of good receivers. So they got some of the pieces in place. And, as they go on, I think they'll build more depth and more players that they can count on. And I think that's where they're at right now, trying to do that.
Rick Peterson, our guest from TopSports.news. This is the local sports spotlight on 580 Sports Talk. You've also previewed just about everybody else. I think we'll get to Washburn Rural tomorrow alphabetically, and that'll be that. So let's talk about some of these other football teams. Topeka High, last year, a necessary step forward. They got to 4 wins. In fact, they were 4-0 to start their season. They beat who they needed to beat, but then the back end of their schedule was much tougher, and they struggled in those games and lost them all and lost in the first round of the playoffs. How does second-year head coach Jason Philbeck envision taking another step forward for that program this year?
Well, obviously, that's what he wants to do, is become more competitive in the Centennial League. We talked about how tough the UKC is. Well, you can make a case that at least at the top, Centennial League is just as good, if not better, with the schools like Manhattan and Junction City. Rural was down a little bit last year, but they made the state semis 2 years ago. So he wants to be able to compete against those teams. He thinks they've made some progress, but until you can prove it on the field, so the Centennial League games, I think they'll will be the kind of the how we figure out how we judge this season.
Let's stay with the 501 schools and shift focus to Highland Park, who, according to the research I've done, Pistol, they haven't had 4 consecutive winning seasons as a program since the 1940s. That's according to the Kansas High School Football History website, which has some incomplete records. So that's the best I could do with the research I had available to me. But suffice it to say, it's been a long time. And so far, these Scots have put together 3 straight winning seasons. They certainly have the pieces to do it again, but that's another team that wants to show better against the best teams on their schedule, because the 2 biggest games last year, they weren't competitive.
Yeah. Well, and again, they're going to be good in the Meadowlark, and Atchison's about the only team that you have to think is a really tough game for them there. There's a couple of others that'll be competitive, but yeah, until you can prove that you can, kind of make some noise in the playoffs, you're always wanting more. But I really like what Jermaine Monroe's done with that program. It's just a whole different animal when you're out at practice and seeing how they conduct themselves and how disciplined they are. So I like what he's doing, and I think he'll continue to make progress.
And that's the remarkable thing too, from where that program was to now where they are. And now you're starting to have people come into that program where the expectation is that they win. Where when these fresh seniors came into the program, they hadn't won a game in 7 years.
Yeah, they broke an 8-year.
It was 8 years. Yeah.
Streak. Yeah, and whatever it was, 60-some losses. And so that was the first goal for Jermaine, and they did that. And now they want to, like you say, keep making some progress. Their numbers are better. People want to be a part of that Highland Park football program. And so I think they'll continue to grow.
Our guest is Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. This is the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's go out into the county. Silver Lake and Rossville, of course, play week 1. That'll be our 580 Preps game of the week next Friday night, with Rossville hosting Silver Lake in the War on 24. You can catch it on our sister station, Country 106.9. And we'll preview the matchup next week, Pistol. But I know you've been out to both practices this year. Start with Silver Lake. They've been good. They continue to be good, but haven't been able to make that deep playoff run yet under Logan Pegram. What are they hoping to build around this year that can get them to that stage where they make that deep playoff run that they expect in Silver Lake?
Well, I think they're really going to try to use that season-ending loss from last year to Council Grove, a team they had beat 2 weeks earlier. I think they're going to try to use that as motivation and just kind of, the kind of, hey, you can never count on anything type thing. They're going to be good again. Silver Lake's going to be good again. When I was over there last week, Logan still didn't know who his starting quarterback was going to be. He had 3 that he thought were capable, and but they got a great receiver in Dane Johnson and some other good players. So we'll know a lot more after they play Rossville in week 1.
Rossville, for a second straight year, they're down in Class 1A. They had that brutal schedule to start the year. They started 0-3 last season, but then they hit the gas, made it all the way to Sub-State, had that unbelievable sectional win over Jackson Heights, that fourth quarter comeback before they lost to Centralia in the final. And they're another team that's going to have to break in a new starting quarterback, but they've got a really talented group of veteran skill players and guys who play in the back 7 on defense for them. They've got a very talented core. It's as talented as any we've seen in Rossville.
Yes, they got a very good returning nucleus and a bunch of, and kind of like Silver Lake and some of those other teams we talk about, they expect to win. So you don't have to coach them to win. They expect that. So, they're going to go out there and give it their all. And I think they're a state contender and won it again this year.
Rick Peterson at TopSports.news is our guest. Let's shift gears once more, continuing to talk about some local high school football teams that you have profiled over at TopSports.news. Second year in 11-man for Care Paravel. Last year was a rough introduction to 11-man, first because it was literally a brand new game for them, but also because they didn't have a lot of numbers and they didn't have a lot of experience. And maybe Doug Bonura's team doesn't quite have the numbers where they want them to be to play 11-man, but a lot more experience team this year. I think they're going to be a lot more ready, and they better be against a very good district schedule.
Yeah, I think they will be. They'll use last year, learning the game of 11-man, and Doug said they liked it. They like going to 11-man and what they can do in 11-man. But, when I was over there early this year, they only had 20 players. So like you said, that's a little tough when you're playing a 11-man. But they do have a bunch of guys that had got experience last year. The year before, they graduated like everybody. So they'll use that. Like you said, it's going to be a tough schedule, but I think they will be improved.
The Seaman Vikings were one of the best teams in the area last year. Made it all the way to the sectional round in 5A when they lost to Goddard Eisenhower. They won the United Kansas Conference. They had a tremendous senior class. 3 Shrine Bowl participants, Briar Finley, Max Huston, and Kobe Jordan. Obviously, those are some big shoes to fill for this year's Vikings, but it's another program that has set a standard, and Jared Swafford, their head coach, is going to expect that this program live up to that standard this year.
You know, you talked about the great players they lost, but they returned a lot of really good players. And, you know, the defensive newcomer of the year in Cameron Bryan, they got Kobacheski at tight end. They got Caden McKinney in the backfield. They got some good linemen. He's not expecting them to miss a beat.
2 other teams that we'll cover real quick. We talked a little bit about Shawnee Heights last week, and that they feel like a team primed for a turnaround. It's as simple as getting the defense, the physicality of the game kind of straightened out for what was a young team last year, will be a much more experienced one this year. But they're just going to have to get a few stops a game, because I don't know that there will be too many offenses in 5A that can keep up with what they've got at Shawnee Heights this year.
Yeah, the defense will be a key. Also, it's always a key up front, because you got to give Aiden Scott time to throw, and you know, they got a block for David Wakes and those guys. So I think that Jason liked how they were looking in preseason. You know, their line is back. And they just had to really. I think they last year they went into the year having lost 20 of 22 starters. So it's not a big surprise that they had to have some growing pains last year.
The Hayden Wildcats had no growing pains last year. They went back to the 3A final for a second straight year, but for the second straight year, couldn't quite grab the big gold. I know they are hungry for it at Hayden, and they have enough returning firepower to believe that they can win it again. I think almost the biggest challenge for them, Pistol, will be staying engaged through the regular season and the playoffs, because there have been times they just haven't really been tested, but they've got to stay engaged and make sure that they're ready to make that deep playoff run again.
I think they'll stay engaged, Dan. I think Bill Arnold will make sure of that. But you know, because when the bar's set that high, any bad practice, any bad quarter is magnified. And so I think they'll be good. Hey, this is an experienced Hayden team as I remember under Bill Arnold. So I think they're ready. And like you said, until they get over that hump and get that title, I think they'll be hungry.
If you want to hear what Rick Peterson has to say about Washburn Rural, go read TopSports.news tomorrow, because he'll have a Washburn Rural preview as well coming up on the website. Read his previews of the 9 other Shawnee County High School football teams as well. Pistol, he joins us every Thursday for the local sports spotlight, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week, Pistol, because we'll be previewing week 1 of the high school football season.
Look forward to it.
That is Rick Peterson. We'll take a timeout, come back, and wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. Our thanks again to Rick Peterson for joining us for the local sports spotlight. Supplementing, we hope, you reading Pistols previews over at TopSports.news. The Pigskin and Hoops previews over at our website, 580WIBW.com. We are almost done publishing all 28 area schools and their football previews. Burlingame and Care Paravel go up on the website tomorrow morning at 580WIBW.com, and then all 28 schools will have their previews published. Again, 580WIBW.com, the 39th year of the Pigskin and Hoops previews. Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, it's a college football season preview with week 1 beginning tonight, plus what is wrong with you and more on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Thursday afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 o'clock. No Royals baseball tonight. Boys in blue are off, returning back home to KC to start a 9-game homestand, their last 9-game homestand of the season. So instead of baseball tonight, we got some football coming your way from Gridiron Radio Network. 7:30 pregame, 8 o'clock kick tonight from Arrowhead Stadium. The Cincinnati Bearcats and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. If you had said, hey, back in 2010, these two teams are playing, and one of them's in the Big 12, you would have said, well, yeah, duh, Nebraska. So it's a funny one in that regard, I suppose. But Cincinnati and Nebraska tonight, 8 o'clock kick. So be burning the midnight oil to hear it all. But we'll have the coverage for you, courtesy of the Gridiron Radio Network here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Had a whole bunch of stuff planned for this hour. We're still going to get to some college football thoughts on the first night of week 1 of the college football season. We got our August semifinals on What Is Wrong With You, and we've got our Chiefs countdown to kickoff continuing. But there is significant breaking news from the National Football League in case you have not had it delivered to your phone or scroll across your social media. The Dallas Cowboys have traded everything pass rusher Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers have agreed to terms with Parsons on a 4-year extension that will pay him $47 million a year, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the National Football League. And for his thoughts on the subject, we welcome in part owner of the Green Bay Packers and co-host of this program, Brendan Dworzinski. BD, you're a little grainy, but how you feeling?
I am feeling great. My microphone on? We turned it on. Oh, what a great day it is to be phone up. What are we doing here? Trying to keep a man down.
What is that sound?
I think what we have here is a broken microphone.
Well, give me another microphone.
That's the problem. I had the right one up.
I'm throwing them all over the place. Give me mic 4.
All right, mic 4 works.
Can we hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
You're on now.
You're on now.
Celebrate now. Way to go, Jerry. You had skinny Reggie White on your team, and you gave him up for 2 draft picks. 2 picks in the 20s or 30s, and you gave him the best defensive player in the NFL. Ha ha! You old coot. Let's go. Woo!
So that's one.
It's not a beautiful day.
So that's one perspective on the subject.
What this is days, my friends, days after we found out on that Cowboys documentary on Netflix that the game that most recently totally broke Jerry Jones was losing to Green Bay in the wild card round 2 years ago. And then he goes and gives up his best player to him for nothing. That's the best defensive player in the NFL for 2 draft picks. If I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm drinking every single cleaning product I have under my sink right now.
I'd be protesting outside of AT&T Stadium right now.
Unbelievable.
I'd lay down in the parking lot in front of like Micah Parsons' vehicle if I had to.
Please don't leave, Micah. No, this is incredible. This is wow. Ricky was right. The anonymous Twitter account with the Spuds McKenzie avatar was right.
He's been right so much lately.
He was right about. He, I think, works for David Mulugeta, the agent, because he was also right before anyone else about Jordan Love getting his contract done. Also a David Mulugeta client. This is awesome. Hell yeah! I don't have to watch someone named Lucas Van Ness start for my team this year. That's awesome.
You know, in Jerry's head, this is him making the Herschel Walker trade.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
This is him. I'm going to make another Herschel Walker trade. This will be my legacy. I'm going to get 2 first-round picks, and that's going to get me closer to my glory hole. I want some glory hole. I want another Super Bowl in Dallas.
But you know what? It's all on his terms, because what do people associate the Herschel Walker trade with?
Jerry Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. This is Jerry getting to do it.
Yes, this is all him pulling the strings, all him in a standoff with the best defensive player in the league and folding like a cheap suit and saying, okay, yeah, fine. Well, in conference.
And,
in conference. It couldn't even get him over to the AFC. In conference.
And if you know anything about the NFC for the last, 30 plus years, these are not exactly two teams that are like buddy. No. Lot of famous NFL games in the last 3 decades between these franchises. It's outrageous, man. Like, this is crazy. Because again, and things could happen. Maybe, if Jordan Love gets hurt, okay, suddenly you're not talking about late 20s or 30s. You're talking about picks in the early 20s or in the teens. But if you assume health always, because injuries are part of the NFL, whatever. If you assume health, you are going to be picking at the end of the first round with your whopping 2 draft picks you got out of this. How do you fumble a player like that badly? And I will be honest here, and I'm not just saying, I mean this seriously, wherever he would have gotten traded to, it didn't have to be Green Bay, although I'm thrilled that it is. Here is the great thing that Micah did. He stuck to it. Like Myles Garrett was like, no, trade me. This franchise sucks. I want to go play for a winner. And then Jimmy Haslam came and said, hey, I stole all this money from people with my various gas station schemes. Here's $40 million. And Myles Garrett was like, oh, cool. Money. Nice. I'll stay. Whatever. Micah Parsons said, no. And you know what, dude? You screwed me over. I'm out of here. I want to be dealt.
He wasn't going to blink. Like this clearly had gotten to an impasse between the player and the team, and Jerry Jones folded. Jerry Jones, the gambler, as he insisted that Netflix documentary / glazing session of Jerry Jones about the history of the Dallas Cowboys, insisted they refer to him as the gambler in the title. The gambler lost. Mm-hmm. The gambler folded him and gave away the best defensive player in football. And now the Packers, who, if you looked at that team and said, all right, they got one big problem. They got one big glaring issue with them that I think is going to be an issue. And it was pass rusher.
Yep.
And now they have the best one. I don't even care what they gave up. Get 6 first-round picks. Who cares? You go get that guy and you worry about tomorrow. And
any team should do it. And I've seen this a lot. I'm not trying to single out Trevor here in the YouTube comments. It says, 2 first-rounders and a huge contract, that hurts. Here's the thing, though, because generally speaking, if you gave up 2 firsts for most other positions, most other players, that's tough to come back from. I'm looking right now at CBS's way too early mock draft for next year. Who would you rather have, Micah Parsons or cap space and Matayo Uiagalelei, edge rusher from Oregon?
I think I'd take Micah Parsons.
I would take Micah Parsons.
Oh yeah,
for the next 4 years. I would take LT Overton, edge rusher from Alabama. I would rather have Micah Parsons on my team. If you're Dak and you're CeeDee Lamb and you're a recent draft,
well, if you're CeeDee Lamb, you think you're next, right?
Because he got paid last year because that's when he got paid 7 minutes before the season kicked off.
Yeah, and
I just saw it an hour ago. Mina Khan is of ESPN, who's awesome. She does such a great job. But she posted something on Blue Sky. This feels like we're all going to be let down by the climax, right? We're all getting built up just for Jerry to swoop in and save the day. And then immediately he says, YOLO, I'm going to dump this dude.
He yeets his best player to a conference rival.
I cannot even think of Luka.
There isn't.
Luka Doncic in the NBA was worse because they didn't get anything back for him, and they also didn't shop him at all. But as far as the NFL goes, I can't remember anything like this. You think of big name players who got traded. The Niners gave up a lot for Christian McCaffrey, and that's an in-conference trade. But here's the difference. Those 2 teams couldn't care less about one another. The Panthers were trending towards Sucktown for a prolonged period of time.
Right.
And
that was an in-season deal, too.
The Cowboys believe they're contending.
They always believe they're contending, whether they're right or not. That is the functional, like, the foundational belief of the Dallas Cowboys is that this is the year every year.
Yeah.
And you cannot do that and also trade the best defensive player in football.
And they traded him to a team that, regardless of whatever you think of Jordan Love, I'm obviously very high on him. They are absolutely contending. And you just gave them your best player.
So
you traded him, but still, I'd rather have Parsons than 2 picks.
They also get Kenny Clark in the deal, according to Adam Schefter.
Well, that's a bummer. That sucks. I love Kenny Clark. But, I mean, I love Kenny Clark. He's still only like 24 years old.
You know who he ain't?
He ain't Micah Parsons!
Yeah. Like, look, man, go get the dude. Like, go get the player at the position. Go get the talent at the position. There's no one better at what he does than Micah Parsons. You go get that player and you address your biggest area of need. And go do the work of trying to win a Super Bowl, because that's not what you're doing in Dallas. No.
And honestly, again, I love Kenny Clark. I feel he was interviewed during the Packers' last preseason game like 6 days ago, talking about how excited he was for the season. Sorry, Kenny. Adam Schefter just had a stat a little bit ago, and I'm going to try to pull it up right now. Something about there's a very small number of players. Where did it go? Very small number of players who have gone to the Pro Bowl in each of their first 4 seasons. None have ever changed teams before their 5th. Well, that just changed.
Amazing.
29 first-round picks in the common draft era. Okay, that's a long time. 29 have gone to 4 straight Pro Bowls to their 5th season with the same team. That's what Jerry Jones is giving up.
I honestly, if I were a Cowboy fan, I'd bonfire.
But
he
gets what he wants.
I'm done until that old moron is dead. Like, that would be my attitude.
He gets what he wants
until you quit ruining my team and you're in the ground. I'm not. Why deal with that if you're a Cowboy? Why put yourself through it if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan? You're already putting yourself through it. You got no conference championship highlights in HD. You've been putting yourself through it for 30 years. Why continue at this rate? Why continue? Because you know that you have a glass ceiling as an organization, and his name is Jerry Jones. And until he is in the dirt, this is who you are. And then probably after he is in the dirt, this is who you are, because his fail son is going to run the team. This is who you are forever, Cowboys fans.
I am stunned,
man. Listen, I can't say I feel bad for you.
I'm glad my Commanders have to face a Micah Parsons-less Cowboys 2 times a year.
Yeah, you know who's popping bottles right now? Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Russ and Russell Wilson. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wowzers. Anyway, Brendan, while we have you here, a couple of things that I'd like to see if you can address. First of all, Trevor in the YouTube comments says the Packers are a quarterback away from being a contender. Your thoughts?
Look, Trevor's my guy. Okay. I don't say that about many Mizzou fans, all right? No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Look, I don't really get it, because I guess it's the interception thing from this past year. Like, yeah, he's thrown 11 interceptions each of the last 2 seasons, which is not, an elite number by any means. Jordan Love is 5th in the NFL in touchdown passes over the last 2 seasons, and he missed 2 games last year. That's tied with Josh Allen, by the way, the MVP. If you're into the advanced stats, EPA per play, he's 8th in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. And again, played most of last season injured. I think he's really good. I don't think he's Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Jackson. Like, I wouldn't put him right there. And Trevor says he's just messing around. But like that is something I see all the time. I'm just so giddy, man. I don't care. I love all you guys. What a great day. What a great day.
A couple of other things that we need you to address. Andrew in the YouTube comments. Are you happier for Micah Parsons or for the fact that we got to 800 YouTube subscribers, so now you and I are going to arm wrestle?
Hey, the bit is alive. I was telling him yesterday, the bit is alive where Brennan's gone and we achieve subscriber upgrade.
This is true. Hiatus, and then all of a sudden they come pouring on in.
Yeah, it's really true.
Thanks, God. No, I'm just kidding. That was the best part of my week until about 20 minutes ago.
There you go. No, I understand. I think
I am very excited about that.
I think we all understand. Third thing.
My right arm, though, very strong after fist pumping the entire way up from my office.
Yeah, I saw you doing it, running through the office like it was VJ day.
I was doing GTL the whole way up.
Third thing, would you like to stay around and talk some college football?
I would love to.
Because the college football season really gets rolling in earnest tonight.
Gets rolling in earnest in 9 minutes.
9 minutes, we got kickoff.
Yeah, kickoff between South Florida and Boise State in 9 minutes on ESPN. You got a big Thursday schedule. We got a really good Friday slate, Auburn, Baylor, Georgia Tech, Colorado, and then obviously Saturday, the marquee game, Texas, Ohio State, and then we're off and running for this 2025 season. We've been on the record about the Big 12 and been on the record about how we feel about the in-state teams, KU and K-State. But let's go on the record about the broader world of college football. Who's winning the national championship? Let's go around the table. Brendan, who's winning the national championship? Who do you like? Who's number one?
That's a stellar question. I haven't. I guess this is the first time I'm making an official pick. There is a little part of me that is genuinely sick to my stomach when the first name that popped into my head is the Clemson Tigers. I think Clemson is Penn State with a better quarterback. And like the running back room isn't as good because Penn State is the best running back room in the country. But I think Cade Klubnik is closer to what the pundits think Drew Aller is than Drew Aller actually is. And I don't think Klubnik is like, Andrew Luck as a prospect or anything, but that's a pretty well-built team. And I will give Dabo Swinney some credit for all the flack from me about how you can't use the portal and, NIL is God's name, image, and likeness, or whatever he said last year.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty good roster from top to bottom. Defense.
Best defensive line in the country.
Best defensive line, sure. The back four, a little shaky, but that's a really good roster. And I do think Klubnik is a very good quarterback. Penn State is up there. Can James Franklin do it?
No.
That's kind of what I think.
I have the answer to that. I am not buying Penn State as long as that man is their head coach. Small game James.
I kind of think James Franklin is post-2010 Mike McCarthy. Like, I think James Franklin's a good coach. I genuinely think he is a good football coach. I don't think he's a great coach, and I don't know if he can get you over the top. I think Alabama is going to be in the running. My worry is quarterback. Like, I have no idea if Ty Simpson's any good.
Yeah, it's a lot of those Cadillac Rolls-Royce programs in college football who have some big questions at quarterback this year. Not because we don't think their guys are good, just we haven't seen them. They're young or they're unproven.
I'll give you a hateable pick. I am planting my flag on the Arch Manning bandwagon, and I think I'm going to pick Texas because they lose a few guys. Like Sorrell was a good player, Golden, 2 Packers, but those guys were really good players last year. They lost a few other guys to graduation. That is a veteran team, another really good defensive line. They got beef up front, and I'm a believer in Arch Manning. You put a Manning in front of me, I'm going to believe him. Like nobody has the kind of benefits in terms of preparing to be a big-time quarterback than literally a Manning. So I'm going to go Texas. I don't feel, especially on a 1 to 5 scale, I'd put it at about a 2.5, but I think Texas, and I think Sark's doing a great job.
Yeah.
They keep their whole coaching staff together. Continuity is important.
If Arch Manning is who they say he is, I think Texas wins the national championship.
Yeah.
He is who they say he is.
That's my pick. I think if Arch Manning is the guy, they are going all the way.
If he is not, that
Yeah.
Like if he's just all right, if he's just like, oh, this is why he was sitting behind Quinn Ewers all last season, then that opens the door a little bit. Clemson at least has won those kinds of big games before, where Sark has kind of come up small in big games. We know James Franklin's record in big games isn't any good. I have questions about Ohio State with their with a brand new quarterback, and Georgia with a brand new quarterback, Alabama with a brand new quarterback, but. I feel like, it's going to be orange one way or another. It's going to be Texas orange or it's going to be Clemson orange at the end. I think I like those two picks a lot. Give me a Heisman Trophy winner.
Well, based on what I just said, I think you have to at least throw Arch into the conversation, right? No, I think Arch is going to be up there. I think Klubnik will be up there as well.
A lot of Jeremiah Smith love. He's the best player in the country, they say.
He is. God, it's so hard for a wide. I know a wide receiver just did it 5 years ago, but it's so hard for a wide receiver to win it. I'll go Klubnik. I'll take Cade Klubnik. That conference kind of stinks.
Yeah, he could put up some really
and I
big
think
numbers.
He could put up some big time. And, I'm sure Drew Aller, or not here, but around the country will get a lot of love for this. I think he's going to have votes siphoned off by Nick Singleton, who's awesome.
Yeah, I still don't think Aller's good. Like, I don't think he's
fine.
I don't think he's sorry like I did it this time last year, but I don't think he elevates you. I don't think he's the reason you win.
They do not have the kind of team that can win a national championship like Alabama could with Greg McElroy. Like, Greg McElroy was fine, but with an NFL team around him, you could win a national championship with that guy. I don't think Aller is that guy.
So I'm leaning Arch, but I also think there's a big matchup this weekend between LSU and Clemson. And I think if LSU is a good team, if they can make the playoff and obviously be great, I think Garrett Nussmeier could be like a dark horse.
Absolutely. I don't even think he's a dark horse. Andrew in the YouTube comments says he's 7-1 to
I didn't even
win the Heisman.
He's got a lot of top pick hype as well. The draft nicks like Nussmeier a lot.
I'll give you a fun pick. Lenora Sellers at South Carolina.
I would argue Lenora Sellers' ceiling is right up. Like, physically, it's number one. It's not close. I think in terms of like everything that goes into it, his ceiling is only matched by Arch Manning. Because again, nobody prepares for being a big-time quarterback like literally the Mannings. But I mean, Sellers' athleticism is crazy. He's got a huge arm. He can move. I'm excited, but have some reservation. I guess that's kind of cautiously optimistic or like excitedly pessimistic, I guess, in a way. Like, I'm not all the way in on him, but if he puts it together and proves like, yes, I can read the field sideline to sideline, I think by October we'll know it's going to be him, like we did, Lamar Jackson back when he won it.
A text from the 785 asked if Jalen Daniels could potentially be in the running. Look, the last time we saw him for a healthy full season, he was for like the first half of the season. So
he was absolutely the 2022 September Heisman winner.
Yes. So the last time,
question.
So yeah, if he's got 12 games in him where he is as healthy as he was in September 2022, yeah, why not?
Well, and I mean, the first game sucked, and it's tough to leave a bad first impression, but like, there's a reason that last season Avery had top 12, I think it was, top 13 Heisman odds to start the year. I know a little bit of the shine is off at the moment, but I mean, that dude's athleticism is not common.
Give me a team nobody's talking about that's going to make the playoff. Give me a non-blue blood that's going to sneak into the playoff. I'm on the South Carolina train. I just think there's so much talent on that offense. Shane Beamer has those guys believing. I think they're going to be nasty on defense. Dylan Stewart's a stud. I think South Carolina makes playoff.
I mean, my family would be super happy. My sisters would go crazy.
I am all aboard the Cockaboos.
Team that no one's talking about that's going to make the playoff. I will give you. This is tough. Spencer, do you have one? Can you save me here? Throw me a safety net.
I don't know, but I'm going to make a joke here and say the Southern Miss Golden Eagles.
With all Marshall's old players.
That was a joke.
Okay, give me All right, give me Kansas State.
Okay.
Give me Kansas State.
Okay.
I mean, I picked them to win the Big 12.
Yeah, I did too.
K-State as part of a prediction that two teams from the Big 12 make it.
There you go.
Yeah, K-State and Utah. I'll package it that way. K-State and Utah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I have, by the way, in the last 72 hours, I've bought all the way in on Utah. That's an NFL offensive line.
It is.
And I don't know that anyone in the Big 12 has enough dudes up front to get Dampier. I don't know if he can throw at the Big 12 level, but if he's got 5 seconds in the pocket every play, I think he's going to be just fine, especially since his offensive coordinator came with him from New Mexico. I'm kind of all in on Utah now.
I've got two more funny things that I would be highly amused to see happen in college football this year. Bryce Underwood ends up being good and Michigan beats Ohio State again. Michigan beating Ohio State again would just be funny on GP, but I think Bryce Underwood's the real thing.
Yeah.
And Brian Kelly gets fired at LSU.
Ooh.
Now that's very funny.
Yeah.
I would find that to be hilarious. I would feel no sympathy.
I don't think 9-3 is good enough. Like they keep turning out 9-3. I don't think 9-3 is good enough for Brian Kelly.
Okay.
I think there are some coaches who would get away with going 9-3 in perpetuity in Baton Rouge. He ain't one of them.
So I would like to tie something in to one of the things you just mentioned. Can you give me a team who's getting too much hype? I think there's 2 in the Big Ten, but can you give me a team that's getting too much hype?
Too much hype.
Too much hype.
Too much hype. I will say I'm going to go. Vance threw them out, asking about them in the YouTube comments. I'll say Tennessee. I'll say that's a team that takes a step back this year.
That's a good one.
They were a playoff team last year. I don't think they're near as good this year.
I'm going to Illinois. I think is getting too much hype. Come on, Brett Bielema. Ohio State. I know they get 10 wins just automatically when you look at the schedule. They lost 14 players to the draft, both coordinators, and they're playing a quarterback who's never played college football before in a meaningful capacity.
Yeah.
That's a lot of turnover, guys.
It is. It is.
Including their second and third best offensive weapons from last year. Third and fourth. Ibuka was really good too. But they lost Ibuka. So 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Ohio State is going to disappoint relatively.
We got a break here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan, would you like to stay around for a little bit longer and do the August semifinals?
No,
what is wrong with you?
Hell, why not?
Great. Wonderful. We'll all do it next on 580 Sports Talk. It is time for the August semifinals on What Is Wrong With You. We have 3 full week champions and 2 short week play-in champions. And by the end of this segment, we have whittled 5 down to 2.
So what do we do with the last minute entrant from today? What do we do with Jerry Jones? He's got to be on here.
Jerry Jones is a what is
old
wrong with you?
meddling owner trades best player on team for next to nothing.
He's in the contributor wing.
Yes, he is in the. Yeah, he's definitely in the owner front office wing. Him and Dick Monfort and
Oh man,
Dayton Moore, late career version.
Someone just posted a picture of Luka Doncic and Micah Parsons swapping jerseys with each other.
Hey,
What a great day.
Sunday Night Football Week 4, Cowboys versus Packers. I don't know if it's at Jerry World or not. I don't.
Micah Parsons looking at Dak Prescott like he's a big fat Thanksgiving turkey. Oof.
Micah Parsons sacking Dak Prescott.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Our play-in matchup for What Is Wrong With You's August semifinals. We have this week's winner, the drug drone, the 49-year-old gentleman from just north of Tampa, Florida, who flew a drone allegedly carrying drugs into a Tampa Bay area home at the middle of the night. Showed up at the house like, hey, I need my drone back. The house, obviously, a little alarmed, called the cops. Cops discovered meth and fent, bags of it, attached to the drone. He was doing like a Amazon Prime drone drug delivery service. We assume, allegedly. But
Think they put the little smile logo on there?
he had some kind of logo. I can guarantee you that. That goes up against the Friday, August 1st winner, the lazy lawyer. The lawyer in Pennsylvania who pled guilty to violating federal forgery laws. He was representing a client in a civil lawsuit against a healthcare company in 2022, told the victim he had filed the lawsuit in district court, but never actually filed the suit, and then sent the victim fake court orders ruling in the victim's favor. It's like, hey, yeah, man, I did that thing, and hey, we won. Stand by for more details.
Sweet.
Yeah.
While I'm hammering this out, remember, these are all billable hours. So we have the lazy lawyer, we have the drug drone. Who wins?
Oh.
I'm going to go lazy lawyer here. That's a new one.
Yeah.
I don't remember a story quite like that before. We've had bad lawyers before, but that one in particular, kind of unique.
Extremely lazy to just not file the case and then be like, oh, shoot, he's asking questions. I better just tell him he won. That'll get him off my back. So that winner, the lazy lawyer, goes up against the beef bandit, 57-year-old Michael Ardouin from Denham Springs, Louisiana, who stole hundreds of dollars worth of meat from Walmart by stuffing it in his pants. Career criminal Michael Ardouin, 74 prior arrests, 9 theft convictions.
Is that a T-bone in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Thankfully, there were no chubs of ground beef. They all came in the flat package.
I hope not.
Yeah, listen, put them back on the rack. It's hard to find reasonably priced beef these days. Just put them back on the rack. I'll pay.
You put that discount label on it, I'll buy it. That's
fine.
I will go cook it right now.
The open pants special. Yeah, you cook it. Any germs and stuff, it cooks off. That's how it works. Yeah. Does that win, or does the lazy lawyer win?
Oh,
beef pants.
yeah, I think.
Going beef pants.
Captain Kebab gets that one.
Beef bandit is our first.
Beef pants. I'm sorry.
Beef pants is really good.
Oh man,
that is really good. So beef pants. Shake hands with beef. He is our first finalist. I had a fantasy football team named that one. Shake hands with beef. Shout out to Primus. Our other semifinalists, we have Gary B., the noise terrorist, gentleman from Van Nuys, who had train horns and a burglar alarm that he had been blasting for a solid 3 months from the roof of his horn at all hours of the day, because he says his ex-girlfriend's father is trying to kill him. And so he thinks it's the only way he can get the attention of the police. So they'll do something about his ex-girlfriend's dad, who has been terrorizing and torturing him for 20 years.
Oh.
So there's a lot going on,
to say the least.
Neighbors also say this gentleman, Gary B., he had a very hard to pronounce last name, say that they're being kept awake all hours of the night due to the constant noise. Another neighbor says that he's up mowing his lawn at 2 a.m., working on cars, and just generally being a noise terrorist. Hence the name of the story, Gary B., the noise terrorist. That goes up against probably the favorite for the month, Operation Bear Claw. The 4 folks in Los Angeles County who've been charged with insurance fraud because they got somebody to put on a bear suit with some barbecue meat shredder claws and go damage their luxury vehicles, and captured it on film and sent it to their insurance providers and got $300,000 in reimbursements. But upon further scrutiny of the video, investigation determined it was not a real bear, but in fact a person in a bear suit. Investigators even asked a biologist from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife who said, yep, that's a human in a bear suit. I went to school for this. And I know a human in a bear suit when I see one.
Oh, my God.
So, Operation Bear Claw, Gary B. the Noise Terrorist, who you got?
It's got to be Operation Bear Claw, man.
Yeah.
That's... You know how much I love fraud stories. And this one is very, very dumb on top of it, which adds so many bonus points.
Was that the week 1 winner?
No.
Oh.
Well, it might have been the first full week winner.
Yeah.
Might have been the first full week.
I feel like
that one's so good.
it might win the month. It's been around since the beginning of the month.
It's got its own name. Like
Bear Claw versus Beef Pants.
It's a Titanic.
What a
Game
final.
of the century.
It's
What
a
a final.
Titanic matchup.
You thought number 1 versus number 3 in college football was the biggest matchup of the weekend. Nuh-uh.
The Beef Bandit and Operation Bear Claw will compete in tomorrow's What Is Wrong With You August Championship. Have your votes ready for tomorrow, folks, on 580 Sports Talk. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, keep talking about the big NFL news of the day. Plus, we'll continue our Chiefs countdown to kickoff on 580 Sports Talk. .444, a rollicking 4 o'clock hour here at 580 Sports Talk. Back down to a two-man game. Dan and Spencer with you. Brendan had to split, but grateful that he graced us with his presence for his live reaction to the Micah Parsons trade.
Hey, if I had to choose between one of yesterday him being here or today being here, I'd rather have had him here today.
Most definitely. It's great to be able to take advantage. You know,
yeah,
we have cultivated our own sources as we've gone along here on 580 Sports Talk over the years. But rarely, if ever, has it been more valuable to have a part owner of an NFL team on staff than the day on which that NFL team swings a trade for the disgruntled best defensive player in the National Football League. So, that was opportune to have Brendan in the house for that. So appreciate him as always. And you'll be seeing more of him here as we go along through the end of August into September here on 580 Sports Talk.
Back to Parsons real fast. So,
sure.
About 25-ish minutes before the trade went down, Adam Schefter quote tweeted his own tweet from earlier today. The original tweet was, several teams have spoken to the Cowboys about a potential trade. And for the first time, it was with the report about them being willing to trade him. And then it says, this offseason, Terry McLaurin requested a trade and re-signed with the Commanders. Trey Hendrickson requested a trade and Cincinnati fielded calls, but eventually re-signed him. Cowboys are willing to listen to trade offers for Micah Parsons and ... 25 plus minutes later, he gets traded.
Remarkable that the gambler, Jerry Jones, folded, shipped off his best player. And can you imagine being in that team facility today? You imagine being at the Star in Frisco, in that locker room?
Even the people in the organization, like the admin, like the social media admin, who just had to post like 7 days or 9 days. What is it? 9 days until the opener. And they might want to turn the replies off on that post.
No, that's the coward's move. You cannot turn off replies. That is a coward's way out. No, you got to take it in the face. You've got to go. You got to post the welcome to Dallas Kenny Clark graphic and get real excited about Kenny Clark. And then whatever people want to say in your mentions, if you run a sports team social media, and I used to not feel this way, for the record. I used to think, it is just the social media folks that are seeing that are posting and that are just following orders, and it doesn't do you any good to dump your vitriol in the mentions of your favorite team's X or Instagram or Blue Sky or Threads or Facebook account. I have had a change of heart on that, because sometimes that's the only way. That's the only vehicle you have to let your favorite team know that you're mad as hell and you're not going to take it anymore. And I think there are a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans who may have reached a breaking point today. And you know what? Somebody should hear about it. Somebody who works for that organization, somebody who draws a paycheck from the Dallas Cowboys should hear about that from the aggrieved fans. And if that somebody is a social media intern, tough.
So
run it up the flagpole, buddy.
Yeah, off topic of that, but kind of on topic. I don't know if technically since the NFL season started, like the end of training camp was after cuts. I don't know when they start filming for this, if it's next Monday or not. But do you remember what the NFC East teams agreed to do?
No, I don't.
An in-season Hard Knocks. So I don't know if that started after 53-man roster cuts or if it starts later on. But come December, HBO Max is putting out Hard Knocks in season with the NFC East. So I don't know if it's...
Well, it continues in the fine tradition of some of the great comedy available on HBO Max, like Curb Your Enthusiasm and Hacks and what have you. I like Hacks. Hacks is a good show.
Well,
I never watched Curb.
If it indeed is them filming this starting after the cuts, then that's going to do some god tier numbers.
Let's pivot quickly to the local 11, the Kansas City Chiefs, and continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff, as we are now 8 days away from the Chiefs and the Chargers kicking off week 1 of the 2025 season in Brazil. Number 8 for the Chiefs is Kristian Fulton, which I had forgotten because he was injured and missed a lot of training camp and missed the first 2 preseason games. So when I was watching the 3rd preseason game, and Spencer, I know you were watching because you were there. I wonder if you maybe had the same reaction that I did, kept having to look down and go, wait a minute, who's number 8? Wait a minute, who's 8?
Yeah.
I don't know who 8 is. 8 was Kristian Fulton, and Fulton played a lot in that final preseason game. Like, he was out there in the second half getting reps. And that's not because his roster spot was in any danger.
No.
He just needed the reps.
Yeah, he hasn't been on the field much.
Hasn't been able to get out there. And I think that has made him sort of the forgotten man when it comes to the Chiefs' fortunes in 2025, because Fulton was good last year. Pro Football Focus graded him the 40th best cornerback in the league out of 225. So, maybe not upper echelon elite of the elite, but certainly above average cornerback, starting caliber cornerback. He had the 60th best coverage grade and the 22nd best grade in run defense. So the Chiefs value that a lot. And all of a sudden, them acquiring him makes a lot more sense. It was arguably, in his lone year as a Charger, his best year as a pro. Now, obviously, he's going to need to stay healthy, something that has been a struggle for him throughout his NFL career. But the best version of the Chiefs secondary is one that is versatile and flexible and allows Steve Spagnuolo to mix and match and show different looks to quarterbacks throughout the game. And with Kristian Fulton available, you add to the flexibility of this team because he can line up in the slot. Trent McDuffie could also line up in the slot. Fulton's presence lets them be more versatile with what they do with McDuffie, and he's their best guy. If Fulton's not out there, you have to be a little bit more static with what you do with McDuffie more often. But if Fulton is available, you have him, and you have Jalen Watson, and you have Trent McDuffie, and that is, provided Watson gets back to his early 2024 form before he got hurt, as good a trio of cornerbacks as you're going to find in the National Football League. So I think we forgot about Fulton a little bit over the course of this preseason because the injury had him limited through camp and the preseason. But I think he's on a real short list of the most important Chiefs of 2025 because I think his presence stabilizes a position that lacks stability, which was a detriment to the Chiefs last year. Remember, they kept rolling guys in and out. And Jalen Watson was in there, and then he got hurt. And Joshua Williams was kind of up and down, and Najee Johnson certainly had his struggles. Chris Roland Wallace had to play more than the team probably wanted him to play at cornerback. How do we know that? Because he's a safety now. So there was a lot of instability at corner, and depth was so important to add. And with Fulton and with Noel Williams added to the mix that already includes McDuffie and Watson and Williams and Johnson, you have what really ought to be one of the best cornerback rooms in the NFL. He's just got to be healthy. But if he's healthy, he's good.
Yeah.
And I think that when you evaluate this Chiefs team, he's probably a guy that maybe you've forgotten about as to what his impact could be. But he could have a really strong impact for this team. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this 4 o'clock hour at 580 Sports Talk next. We mentioned it earlier. Week 1 of the college football season off and running. They are midway through the first quarter in Tampa. South Florida and Boise State are scoreless. Boise State preseason top 25 team slotting in at number 25. South Florida's got a fun quarterback. Byron Brown should be one of the better dual threat quarterbacks in the country. That game is on ESPN, part of a slate of college football tonight That includes Nebraska and Cincinnati kicking off at 8 o'clock at Arrowhead Stadium. We've got coverage of that tonight right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9 from the Gridiron Radio Network. Pregame at 7:30 and the kickoff at 8. There's a lot of FBS versus FCS games tonight. There's also, do you know who the other Big 12 teams are in action tonight? We have Cincinnati, obviously. Do you know who the other two are off the top of your head? It's no pass fail here. I had to look. There are actually 3 of them. 6 o'clock, UCF takes on Jacksonville State in the post-Rich Rod era. Oklahoma State kicks off at 6:30 against UT Martin. Get to see the debut of Hoss Haney as the starting quarterback. And Houston is also playing tonight. They're playing Stephen F. Austin. If you want to watch those games, I bet you could quad box them on the ESPN Ultimate app or Unlimited app or whatever the hell they're calling it. So confused by that. I don't even know if I have, like, I've been at ESPN Plus, like I was paying for that.
Yeah.
Because obviously for all these years. And now they got like the new ESPN Unlimited where if you don't have cable, you can pay $30. But I have cable. Like I'm not shelling out $30 more for something I already get. So like, do I have to log in again? Like I got to go back into the app. I got to figure all this out. I got to get straightened out because college football is here.
Yeah, I will say I am definitely tuning into ESPN Plus to see a retooling Jacksonville State completely torture Cam Fancher.
You were going to be UCF's biggest hater this year because
yes,
Marshall great Cam Fancher is their starting quarterback. That's a great bit. Honestly, I'm so excited for you to fully commit to that bit as we go along this year. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we got headlines. Micah Parsons got traded. We'll talk more about that. We'll do either or over under and more on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Thursday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you for one more hour today here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Hey, just because we got to 800 subscribers, which is awesome, doesn't mean we don't want more of you to subscribe and join the fray over at our YouTube channel, because we will arm wrestle, Brendan and I. We will arm wrestle. We're looking at the third week of September for that. We'll set a date in the third week of September. First week of September, we're too full of sports content. And then the week after that, we got a week full of short shows. So third week of September is going to be the week that makes the most sense for us to get our arm wrestle on. And so that's when we're going to do it. But we need our next stretch goal. And a very funny suggestion from the 913 on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. That when we get to 1,049 subscribers, that'd be 104.9, our FM translator. 1,049 subscribers, Jello wrestling is what the text says. That's a very funny idea. I can tell you, ain't nobody want to see that. Nobody needs to see that. And nobody has to see that.
Yeah.
We'd like it to be something that you actually want to see. And trust me when I tell you, you don't want to see me all jelloed up or oiled up or anything like that. Absolutely not. But I like where your head's at. 913 says it has to be all three of us. Listen.
In diaper.
Another from the 785. Yeah, do it while wearing diaper. Come on, guys. I thought you liked this.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to shout out everybody watching on YouTube. Like, I remember last year we were discussing kind of the people watching our show on YouTube, and it's the average number has way arisen from just less than 12 months ago.
Yeah, we've grown the account. We have grown our viewership over on YouTube. We've grown the number of people who hang out with us in live chat. It's really, really fun, and we appreciate each and every one of you for doing that. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk, and if you have not yet subscribed, if you kept hearing us talk about it and say, well, yeah, they'll get to 800 and whatever. Now, get us to our next 100. Start the building process. Brick by brick, we'll get to something else fun the next time we hit a big round number. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel today, 580 Sports Talk. A question from the 785. At what point with subscribers do you start making a profit? We'll tell you when we get there. we'll tell you when we get there. We're not there yet, but tell your friends and have them subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, 580 Sports Talk. You can always text the show 785-272-9429. Hey, coming up later in the show, because we like you guys and we want to give you free stuff, we got a couple pairs of tickets to Brew at the Zoo coming up here at the Topeka Zoo, September 13th.
Yeah, 2 weeks from Saturday.
2 weeks from Saturday. Have you been to Brew at the Zoo before?
I have not. I will be attending this year.
Hell yeah. I have been to Brew at the Zoo. Obviously didn't go last year. Probably won't be able to go this year unless I can find a babysitter. But I love Brew at the Zoo. One of my favorite local events every year out at the Topeka Zoo. They get 2 pairs of tickets to give away to that. So we're going to give away 2 pairs of tickets to that here this hour of 580 Sports Talk. And if you recall, and I'll go ahead and set the table for this for tomorrow's show, because maybe it'll encourage you to listen tomorrow. I have another pair of tickets for K-State, North Dakota on Saturday night, the home opener for K-State at the Bill. I have another pair of tickets for that game to give away on tomorrow's show. Not today, tomorrow. So be listening tomorrow for your cue to call and set somebody up with a pair of tickets to go to the Bill. Anywho, final hour, 580 Sports Talk. We got some headlines to get to. We'll do a round of either or, over, under, and we'll look ahead to some Big 12 football tonight. Cincinnati-Nebraska at Arrowhead Stadium. An early season opportunity for a Big 12 showcase. We'll get into that. Plus, again, your texts and your comments on YouTube. The 913. when you're making a profit on YouTube, there will be signs, and they sent a Ric Flair gif. It's well done. We don't read every text that comes into the show, but we do read every text that comes into the show. Like, we don't read them aloud, but we read them all. And sometimes you make us laugh. Sometimes you make us laugh in a way that we can't share with the rest of the class over the air.
That happens more than not.
More often than not. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say more often than not, but more often than you realize.
Yeah.
But just know we appreciate the text. Even if we cannot read literally all of them, we do appreciate them. 785-272-9429. Let's do the headlines, and we'll get into the big NFL headline of the day, which we led the 4:00 hour with, as it was breaking news. But do want to get into some Chiefs news on the show, as the practice squad has taken shape and the Chiefs made some roster moves today. As expected, tight end Robert Tonyan has been added to the Chiefs 53-man roster, with Rashee Rice being placed on the NFL's suspended list. That cleared up a spot on the 53 that will be taken by Robert Tonyan. That was always procedural. Chiefs obviously anticipated this. They were good with cutting Tonyan and doing a handshake agreement, keeping him hanging around. There were, I believe yesterday, we said there were something like 4 spots left, or it was, by the end of the day, there were 2 spots left on the practice squad. And the Chiefs have filled the practice squad with signings today and had to terminate a couple of contracts as well. The Chiefs made the reunion with Clyde Edwards-Helaire official, signing him to the practice squad. Also brought on to the Chiefs practice squad Broderick Martin, defensive tackle, formerly of the Detroit Lions. He was a 3rd-round pick out of Western Kentucky, but hasn't played a whole lot for them, and was criticized in his time with Detroit with maybe not being all the way committed and consistent with his effort, things of that nature. So he is a bit of a second chance, change of scenery candidate, but a former 3rd-round pick, former top 100 pick, Broderick Martin at defensive tackle. Chiefs also bringing in another defensive tackle, Zach Pickens, who played his college football at South Carolina, another former 3rd-round pick of the Chicago Bears. And he appeared in, trying to find his stats. These websites are a little wonky, but looks like he appeared in 26 games over the last 2 years with the Bears, recording 39 tackles and 1.5 sacks. So Zach Pickens, a little experience at defensive tackle, brought in to the roster. Also, pair of defensive ends, Ethan Downs, former Oklahoma Sooner, who was an undrafted rookie free agent who was originally with the Jaguars and did not make their team out of roster cuts. And the Chiefs have signed him to the practice squad, so he is a rookie. And also another defensive end, Tyreek Smith, who played at Ohio State, 5th-round pick of the Seattle Seahawks, and has bounced back and forth between the Seahawks and the Cardinals over the last 3 seasons, his first 3 seasons in the NFL. And he joins the Chiefs practice squad. The last addition to the practice squad is safety Jamie Robertson. He is a former Florida State Seminole, former 5th-round pick of the Carolina Panthers, played last year with Carolina and Arizona, and was cut by the Cardinals. So with those 5 players added to the practice squad, Edwards-Helaire, Downs, Martin, Pickens, Smith, and Robinson, 6 players added to the practice squad. Kansas City had to remove 2 players from the practice squad, and defensive tackle Keziah Izzard and wide receiver Hal Presley both had their practice squad contracts terminated. So Kansas City has their full 17-man practice squad all set. It's 17 because Chu Godric counts as the International Pathways player, so he's an extra guy effectively. I'm a little surprised they were willing to move past Keziah Izzard. I know they really liked him as a UDFA and had a good camp for them, but a little more NFL experience with Martin and Pickens at defensive tackle. Notably, Mike Pennell not added, and you were keeping track of this, Spencer. Brett Veach kind of spoke about this at length. He talked to the writing press today.
Yes.
And so there's no video of this, but there are some quotes out there, him talking about Mike Pennell and saying essentially they wanted to be younger at defensive tackle. And that is the primary logic behind Pennell being cut, Derek Nottie being reacquired, and some different players on the practice squad.
Yeah, so it doesn't appear like there'll be a reunion barring an injury.
Yeah, and maybe it's one of those things that happens later in the year, like what happened 2 years ago, right? Where they signed him and they brought him on, they activated him for, I think, the final 3 games of the regular season. Then he played in all the playoff games and won a Super Bowl. Like, that's theoretically still possible, but they view him as a guy who could give them 17 games and a playoff run this year. And so the Chiefs are moving on for Mike Pennell. And I'm surprised, too. I know a lot of people are really surprised. We got a text from 785 said, I wanted Pennell back. I was shocked that
I think he was the most shocking. But him and Tunyon were the biggest shocks of the 53
but then
not there.
The Tunyon was purely once you could see that it was procedural, it made a little more sense. But yeah, with Pennell, I thought he'd had a fine camp. Like, he didn't look old. He didn't look, useless out there. He didn't look like he was getting overwhelmed. So yeah, I was surprised to see that. But yeah, it looks like his time with the Chiefs has probably come to an end. And you never know. Yeah. You never know. You never say never. But especially with how the Chiefs love to reunite with guys they used to have.
What really,
case in point, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the practice squad.
What really threw me was yesterday they had little media availability. And one of those guys that was available to the media, spoke to the media, was Derek Nottie, coming back, his first media availability back in KC. He spoke about Mike Pennell in his press conference. So to me, that was like, oh, this is another procedural move. Maybe something's going to happen. They want to protect somebody, and he'll be back. He'll at least be on the practice squad, maybe elevated every week. I don't know. Something like that. But no, not coming back for the foreseeable future.
No room on the practice squad. So doesn't look like Mike Pennell and the Chiefs are going to be united anytime soon. Let's get a headline from you, Spencer.
Yes, unfortunate news for Warren Corman as he's passed away, the youngest of 7 architects who helped build Allen Fieldhouse. He's died at the age of 99. KU Athletics announced that Corman died Thursday in Lawrence. According to his family, quote, Warren Corman's legacy will be forever woven into the fabric of the University of Kansas with his incredible contributions to Allen Fieldhouse. KU AD Travis Goff said the historic venue would not be what it is today without Warren. We'll miss his amazing stories and his passion for KU, but cherish the time we had with him. The KU Athletics family sends their love and condolences to Mary and his entire family.
Lived a fascinating life, yes. Warren Corman.
He was a KU season ticket holder for more than 60 years. He graduated from KU with an architectural engineering degree in 1950, served in the U.S. Navy in World War II, and more than 3 decades, he served as the director of facilities at KU. He was KU all the way.
Yeah, he cut him and he bled Jayhawk red and Jayhawk crimson, if you'd rather. And a devoted fan. He was always at Allen Fieldhouse. He was always at the Hawk Talk radio shows, football and basketball. Just a great, great KU fan and somebody with a unique place in the history of Kansas athletics as somebody who helped to construct Allen Fieldhouse.
Just under a year ago, when Allen Fieldhouse was celebrating 70 years, they had a sit down with Warren Corman and Coach Self. That's on the YouTube page. If you go to KU's website or the post about Warren passing, there's a video. It's about 12 and a half minutes of it. Bill Self and him sitting down and talking about Allen Fieldhouse and KU hoops.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. No question. Next headline for me. Let's do this before we get back to the Micah Parsons story, because we did quite a bit on the big NFL trade of the day with Micah Parsons being traded to the Green Bay Packers. We'll finish with that. I did want to mention this from head coach of the University of Colorado football program, Deion Sanders. He was speaking with the Associated Press, him and former Alabama coach Nick Saban, talking to the AP as part of their unveiling of a new Aflac commercial this year. And he was discussing the future of NIL after the House settlement and Nick Saban, we know, is not a fan of what he perceives as a lack of structure for it. But Deion Sanders' idea, I pay a little bit more credence to somebody who's actually actively coaching than someone who is not. Like Nick Saban's free to complain about the system all he wants. He doesn't have to operate in it anymore. Deion Sanders, for now, still active college football coach and has to operate within the system. His proposal is players should be paid for their teams making the college football playoff. And they should be paid more for every game their team wins in the playoff. So that is his big idea. Quote, if they do that, now it's equality, now it's even, and every player is making the same amount of money. I would love to go back and talk to a 22-year-old Deion Sanders and say, hey, are you cool with making the exact same money as everybody else you play with? Or do you think you should make more because you're primetime, because you're Neon Deion? I just want to see what he thinks, what he would have thought, what 22-year-old must be the money Deion Sanders would have thought about that. I will say this, though. Two other things from this little confab with Sanders and Saban. Number one, Deion is starting to think much, much more like a college football coach and starting to feel like he might have a little bit more desire. I don't necessarily know that Boulder is going to be where he ends up for the long haul, but starting to believe more and more that he may end up putting down roots in the college game, more so than viewing himself as upwardly mobile, just as his two favorite sons, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, have been upwardly mobile into the NFL. The other thing, I love this from Nick Saban. Shout out to friend of the Big 12, Nick Saban, because he is no fan of any proposal that gives conferences a set number of bids into a college football playoff. A quote from Saban: the NFC East has the Cowboys, Eagles, and Giants. They have the biggest fan bases of anyone, and they have to play their way in. Everybody should play their way in. One year, a conference might get 5 teams in, another it might get 3. But there's no scenario in any competitive venue where you get a guaranteed playoff spot. Damn right. Friend of the Big 12. Friend of the little guy, Nick Saban. I just think that's kind of funny. Spencer, remind the people what happened about an hour and a half ago now.
So this guy you hear about a lot. He is an owner. He is the president of the team. He is the senior vice president. He is the GM. He is the everybody for the Dallas Cowboys. He talks a lot to the media as well, which is weird for an owner. He decided to send away his best defensive player to the Green Bay Packers as Micah Parsons is heading to Green Bay in a package that sends Packers three-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks in 26 and 27 to the Cowboys. He has agreed. Parsons has agreed to a 4-year, $188 million contract with the Packers that includes $120 million fully guaranteed at signing, $136 million in total guarantees, making him the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history, according to Adam Schefter, his sources at Parsons Agents Group.
The inclusion of Kenny Clark in the trade makes it a little more palatable for the Cowboys because Kenny Clark is good. He's a different kind of good than Micah Parsons because they're different kinds of players. And also, he's not as good at his job as Micah Parsons is at his because you could argue that nobody, with the exception of one Patrick LeVon Mahomes, is better at their job in the NFL than Micah Parsons is at his. Would you say that?
Yeah.
And I think other than quarterback, edge rusher is probably the most valuable position in today's NFL. That's a fascinating construct, right? Like I almost feel like we could debate that for the rest of the show. Like who is better than the rest of their peers at their position in the NFL? Like whoever you think the best guy is at a position. Like it's Mahomes at quarterback. It's Saquon Barkley at running back, or maybe you take Bijan Robinson. Bijan. Sorry, it's Bijan Robinson. It rhymes with Dijon. He tried to tell us. It's Bijan. It's not Bijan. It's Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson.
Bijan.
That's why I changed my fantasy football team name because I drafted him number 1 overall. So I changed the name of my fantasy team. My wife didn't like my first name, Detachable Penix. Shout out to King Missile. She wasn't a big fan of that one. So I changed the name to Bed Bath and Beyond.
That's good.
A little more palatable for everybody involved. And a little easier to explain to people. But anyway, like, okay, so it's Barkley or Robinson at running back. Wide receiver, I mean, you could, again, debate the merits of Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Tight end, it's probably Bowers now, but certainly you could debate the merits of George Kittle or Trey McBride. But, like, at edge, it's Micah Parsons.
It's Micah.
Yeah, like that's
like
the
he
answer.
literally
like 100 out of 100, unless you did the survey, the Family Feud survey in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
100 out of 100 are going to put Micah Parsons at the top of their pass rusher list.
He's also so good that you can just say Micah, and if you're talking about the NFL, I feel like everybody knows you're talking about Micah Parsons.
Yeah, he's one of those one-name guys.
Yeah.
How many one-name guys in the league? I'm maybe giving Myles Garrett a little short shrift here. He'd certainly be an answer in Cleveland. But no, man, I think it's Micah. And I do wonder, if he's better at what he does than anybody not named Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. I really think that might be the case. And so if you're the Packers and you got a chance to go get that guy, okay, what do you want? What do you want? Just
look,
2 firsts and Kenny Clark, okay, like minimally painful compared to what they're getting.
If I was, is it Gutekunst still our GM?
Yeah, Brian Gutekunst, yes.
I would have thought Jerry was not going to accept it just because Jerry is who he is. I would have traded that and been like, this is what we can put forward.
We joked about the Herschel Walker trade earlier because that is the most famous trade one of the most famous trades in NFL history. Certainly the most famous trade in Dallas Cowboys history. This may go down as the most infamous trade in Cowboys history.
Yeah.
But that is the most famous trade in Cowboys history because the Cowboys got like a zillion picks, and then they hit them all out of the park. They drafted Emmitt Smith. They drafted Darren Woodson. They drafted guys who were the core of those Cowboys teams that won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years because they got a zillion picks. And then Herschel Walker just ended up kind of being okay as a Viking. That was the other thing. So first of all, you're not recreating the haul unless you crush the back end of the draft. And look, the Cowboys have not exactly crushed the back ends of drafts. Like they drafted Mozzie Smith late in the first round 2 years ago. He almost didn't make the team. He didn't make the team. He was on the verge of being cut. Maybe he did make the team. But like there's no guarantee that guy you get in the 20s, especially given that, let's just say the scouting department with the Cowboys has maybe slipped over the years, as evidenced by the fact that they're where they are in the NFL's hierarchy. But you're probably not getting the next Emmitt Smith and Darren Woodson, like Ring of Honor guys with those 2 first-round picks. And again, Kenny Clark is a nice player. That's a good addition. He helps Cowboys. He does. He ain't Micah Parsons.
Nope.
And when you have a chance to go get that player, you don't worry about the cost. You don't worry about the cap hit. You go get a game wrecker, a game changer at a position where you did not have one. And now you have to take the Packers more seriously as a Super Bowl contender. One Vegas book moved the Packers from 22-1 to win the Super Bowl this morning to 13-1 to win the Super Bowl after the trade. That's how impactful this one guy is. It's a no-brainer for the Packers, and it reveals that there are no brains in the Cowboys front office.
Yeah.
We'll take a timeout. But
can I get one real quick thing here? Update for the Royals that I saw last night, but we didn't get a chance to get to it.
Yeah, sure.
From Aaron Rodgers, Cole Reagans threw a 2-up bullpen yesterday, 20 pitches, set for a bit, then 15 pitches. Said he felt good after and liked where his pitch shapes are at this point. Next step, he could be facing hitters or some sort of stimulated appearance on the field this weekend / early next week.
Simulated, not stimulated.
So
that's a very different kind of appearance.
Steven Cruz and Hunter Harvey also threw light bullpens in the 15 to 20 pitch range.
Be nice to see Reagans on the mound at some point in September, especially if the game still means something for the Royals. No doubt. No, that's a good that's good stuff. Thanks for bringing that up.
I also heard it during the broadcast last night. I was like, oh yeah.
Anyway, before we go to break, I promised I got 2 pairs of tickets for Brew at the Zoo here in Topeka, September 13th. Only caveat with these folks, can't email them to you. You've got to come to our studios at 1210 Executive Drive and pick these up before September 13th, but we'll hold them for you here at our studios 2 pairs of tickets for Brew at the Zoo September 13th, and we're going to give them to the first 2 callers to 785-272-9429. 785-272-9429. First 2 callers, you're going to Brew at the Zoo.
Have to be over 21.
Have to be over 21. We'll go. Thank you for that. We'll have more 580 Sports Talk after this. All right. We'll do a little either or over under here on 580 Sports Talk. A couple of college football scores for you. Boise State leading South Florida 7-3 in Tampa. Nico Gramatica is the South Florida kicker. That name sound familiar?
Yes, but why?
Because his dad is in the K-State Ring of Honor. Martin Gramatica.
That's why.
Yeah, that's his dad. His 2 uncles, Bill and Santiago, both kicked at USF as well, which I did not know. Of course, Bill had an NFL career. Bill's most notable for celebrating a field goal too aggressively and tearing his ACL.
Yep.
Santiago, I don't believe ever did kick in the league, but and And apparently he's got a brother on the team as well. Gatson Grammatica. There's oozing Grammaticas there in Tampa. But yeah, Nico hit a long one in that game for UCF. Ohio and Rutgers are tied at 7. That is very funny as that game ends, the first quarter coming to an end in that one. That game's on Big Ten Network. And Bowling Green out to a 7-0 lead over Lafayette. If you're watching that one, God forbid if you have money on that one, you're a real sicko. But also, we should be friends because I love people who are sickos about college football. I don't say that judgmentally at all. I say that with admiration. Anywho, also, here's a score. Big Division II college football game tonight. Top 10 matchup between Pitt State and Ferris State, the number 1 team in the country, the defending national champs. Pitt State coming in, the number 9 ranked team in the country. Ferris State out to a 14-3 lead after one quarter. Out in where are they at in Michigan again? What's the name of the city? Big Rapids. Out in Big Rapids, Michigan. The Gorillas trailing by 11 after the first quarter. I'll give you the honors here with an either or over under to start us off, Spencer.
Yes. This is kind of just a fun one, not so serious.
Okay, great.
Although these fans of these teams would take this serious, either or. Which Kansas Division I football team scores more points in their game against an FCS opponent this weekend?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Kansas or Kansas State?
That is an awesome question.
I don't know, just something fun because
I like
they're
that.
both playing FCS opponents.
That. I'm going to say shorter week for KU, but also the travel week that K-State has just had. I think both teams would like to step on the accelerator and do their business in the first half and then get the starters out. I think Lance Leipold and Chris Kleiman would both be delighted if neither of their starting quarterbacks took a second half snap.
Yeah.
I think that would be the perfect world scenario for both teams. So I don't know if either team's going to get like to the 50s necessarily. I'm going to go, man. Good question.
I think
Wagner is worse, so I think KU will score more points against the Wagner defense.
That's where I was going to go. I think KU's got itself a 50 burger. Plus.
I think they'll probably throw it more. Anyway, I think K-State will try to keep it on the ground. Joe Jackson, Devon Rice, maybe see some JB Price, Antonio Martin, perhaps. I think they'll keep it on the ground a little bit more. But man, that's a really good one. I like that question. Give me an either or over under for this weekend. Which game do you think is more competitive tomorrow night? Baylor Auburn or Colorado Georgia Tech? Which game has the smaller margin of victory?
Baylor Auburn.
Colorado Georgia Tech. Baylor Auburn in Waco.
Oh yeah, I'm taking that game.
You think that'll be a tighter game?
Yeah.
So you think Georgia Tech Colorado might not be so tight?
I don't think so.
In favor of
Colorado.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I kind of think Georgia Tech is precisely the kind of football team that has given Colorado hell in the Deion Sanders era because they are coming to hit you with hammers. They're going to run their quarterback, Haynes King, and they're going to try and bully Colorado in the trenches. And I think they're good enough to do it. Like, I don't know that Colorado's all the way there in the trenches, certainly on defense. I don't think they're there. I kind of think Georgia Tech wins that game. I also think Baylor might blow Auburn out. So I'm going to say Colorado Georgia Tech's a tighter game. I think Tech wins, and I think Baylor wins by at least 2 scores over Auburn. I think they might blow them out because I don't know that Jackson Arnold is really that good, and I kind of think that Baylor is. Like, I didn't pick Baylor and win the Big 12 or anything, but I think they're a good team. And I think Auburn's just kind of a middle-of-the-pack SEC team at best. But, yeah, I think that game will be 2 scores. I think Georgia Tech, Colorado will be low-scoring and close. I think Georgia Tech's going to win. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back. We'll talk some more college football out of this timeout, including the game that we'll have for you tonight here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Nebraska and Cincinnati. That's next on 580 WIBW. 544 on 580 Sports Talk. We're with you until 6 o'clock tonight. No Royals baseball, but we do have football tonight here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Gridiron Radio Network presents Cincinnati and Nebraska from Arrowhead Stadium. Our boss is there. Our general manager, big Nebraska fan.
Oh, yeah.
He's there tonight. He might be on his way. He might be caught in traffic. And I anticipate that crowd will be as red as any Chiefs home game. Like, I don't know how well Cincinnati is traveling, but I know they're not traveling as good as Nebraska because nobody does.
I know somebody that went to Marshall, I think got their grad degree at Cincinnati.
Is that right?
They are in town for the game. They're like college football freaks, though. They go to like any game possible.
There has been some speculation as to whether or not America's first couple, I am speaking, of course, of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, will be at Arrowhead tonight.
I have insight on this.
Do you?
Yes. So
you got inside info here?
Not from me, but via somebody that would know.
Okay.
So Taylor's and Travis's best friends, that made viral after Tight End University picture where they post a picture with a couple of Bussin' with the Boys fame, Will Compton and Taylor Luan.
Okay.
Will was on with Pat McAfee today on ESPN because he just Bussin' with the Boys signed an ESPN deal. I don't know if you saw that, but
I did not.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise you not. And I believe Will Compton said, I don't think she'll be there. And I would say he's got good sources because he's going to be in the box with Travis Kelce.
Yeah, Kelce, obviously, he rides hard for his alma mater,
yes.
So I'm not surprised that he will be in the building. I don't know if Jason's making the trip, but come on, Taylor, you don't want to watch some college football on a Thursday night?
She might not be here. I don't know.
That's true. She might be
at one of her other four houses,
finishing touches on the album. I don't know. Listen. I understand, sometimes you got to let you let your significant other go and do something that's important to them while you hang out and do something that's maybe more important to you, like, put the finishing touches on an album you got coming out. But
do you know what the official name for this game is?
It's like the Battle Sports something.
Let's see. I believe it's on Chiefs.com. Battle Sports Kansas City Classic at GHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. The longest name.
So
it's also the inaugural.
Do you know what Battle Sports is?
No.
They make like football stuff. They make football gear, like shoulder pads and gloves and back plates and
so
mouth guards.
They're like the Rydell of
little bit.
Riddell or whatever it is.
Yeah, a little bit. There's a football gear manufacturer. And I don't know if it's like they're trying to expand into being like a lifestyle brand, if it's like a football on-field lifestyle brand. They make some players like to wear the mouth guards that look like a pacifier.
Yeah,
like
I'm on their site now.
Yeah, so they do. They sell the binkies.
Football gloves, mouth guards, back plates, cleats.
They sell adult football player binkies. What a thing.
It says inaugural, so I wonder who they're going to get next year.
This has nothing to do with Cincinnati and Nebraska, but we were coming up short in our count of binkies at the Lucero household. We were having trouble finding because we got a million of those things. We have a 15-month-old at home, so we got a ton of those things. I was doing some tidying up around the house. I pulled his crib back. There were half a dozen binkies.
Is he throwing them?
Behind the crib. I think he's just losing them out of his mouth, and they're falling between the slats. And then, of course, he wakes up and he cries, and then I'm feeling around because I'm not turning on the light, but I'm feeling around. He's got a couple of them that are glow in the dark, and so I can see those. But usually, like, my eyes are having to adjust, and I'm in there and, like, feeling around blindly. Like, does he have a binky? No. Okay, where is it? Can't find it. Got to go to the drawer for another one. But, man, we were coming up short in our count. We didn't know where they were. Yeah, half a dozen of them behind the crib. God, kid, keep it in your mouth. Anyway, so it had nothing to do with anything. Yes, the Battle Sports Kansas City Classic is tonight.
So Cincinnati is the home team?
Yes, Cincinnati is the home team, which is very funny. Apparently, they are wearing a red uniform tonight. The line, according to our pals at Prairie Band Sportsbook, where we'll be a week from today, by the way. 580 Sports Talk will be live on location at Prairie Band Sportsbook next Thursday for the opening night of the NFL season. Nebraska is a 7-point favorite. I don't think there's much between these rosters, to be completely honest with you, which might upset Nebraska fans. I think the major advantage here is the coaching matchup. I would expect a Matt Rule team to be a lot more prepared and run rings around a Scott Satterfield team.
Yeah.
That would be my anticipation. I would pick Nebraska without hesitation. I don't like that line, but I would pick Nebraska without hesitation, even if I think Cincinnati's got some real talent on the offensive side of the ball. I just think it's a coaching mismatch in that one. Other games that kick later on tonight in the Big 12, UCF and Jacksonville State kickoff at 6. UCF, the Fighting Cam Fanchers, are 20.5-point favorites. Oklahoma State favored by 26.5 over UT Martin. That game kicks at 6:30, and then at 7 o'clock, Houston and Stephen F. Austin. Couple of things from the text line. I wanted to address this because sometimes you ask us a question, and it's a good question. We want to answer you, but we can't always text back. But we had a text that asked us if they had read correctly that Emporia State was offering no-cost general admission football tickets this year. That is correct, texter.
Yes.
That is correct.
You can win that fight with your wife.
Yes, Emporia State is doing that this year. Free GA tickets, I think, for all sports. I think that's for throughout the sports season as a celebration of an anniversary year for Emporia State athletics down there on the down on Turnpike. So yeah, that is correct. You win the argument if that's what you heard. Another one from the 785 referring to Matt Rule as the washed up NFL coach who can't coach. He's not much of an NFL coach. Not everybody's made for that level, but like I do think Matt Rule is a good college coach. And I think that he will be able to return Nebraska to its prior glories, by which I mean the level of success that they sustained under Bo Pelini. I don't know if I've ever gotten to talk at length to you, Spencer. I'm sure I've done it on this show, how I feel. Like, I covered Nebraska football for 4 years, working in West Central Nebraska, did a daily talk show, covered the Huskers, was in the press box, covered the Huskers. This is the Taylor Martinez era of Nebraska football. Nebraska fans didn't know how good they had it. They had an automatic 9 wins, 10 wins every year. All they had to do was put up with 2 things. Number 1, they were never going to win the Big Ten. And number 2, their coach kind of sort of hated everybody's guts a little bit. All you had to do was deal with those things, and you won 9-10 games every year, no fuss, no muss. But they especially didn't like the part where Bo Pelini hated everybody in the entire state. So they ran him out of town, and then they overcorrected and hired like the nicest guy in the world, Mike Riley. And they've been struggling to recover their past glories ever since. Matt Rule will get them there. Matt Rule will get them winning 9 games again. But, like, that's what Nebraska football is in the Big Ten in the 2020s. That's what they are. They are a 9-win program at best. And Matt Rule can get them there because Matt Rule won at Temple. And I don't know if you know anything about Temple football. That ain't easy.
Nope.
He won at Temple. So I still believe Matt Rule is a good football coach. And I think he will outcoach, certainly think more highly of him than I do Scott Satterfield. Anyway, if you want to hear the game tonight, no Royals baseball, tune in right here, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Gridiron Radio's coverage starts at 7:30 with the kickoff at 8. We'll take one final break, come back with a final word on 580 Sports Talk. Been a fun show today. Great interaction in the YouTube comments. Great interaction on the text line. Appreciate everybody being a part of 580 Sports Talk today. Let's wrap it up with the final words. Spencer.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk about the Royals in the first hour, but boy, oh boy, did they deliver some fun last night. I turned on the game a little late, and I was like, all right, let's ride this out, see what happens. And then bombs away. It was fun to watch this Royals team look like they were having so much fun. And, Bobby said it, the boys are playing some ball, and little rough stretch there for a few days, but back on track to jump into this wild card spot. Just need the Mariners to have a little tough stretch coming up. That is my final word.
Final word for me today. I know some Dallas Cowboys fans. Work with one. Our pal Bradley J over on mornings on the big 94.5.
Can't wait to talk to him tomorrow.
Big Cowboys. He may call in sick. I would if I were him. Big Cowboy fan, our guy Bradley J. And I know others. I've encountered others over the course of my life, as I'm sure everyone has, no matter where you may live or be from, because the Cowboys truly do have a national fan base. So I know there are Cowboys fans listening to this radio show right now, right here, listening to these words. And these are my words of wisdom to you, Dallas Cowboys fans, after today, after your team, your stubborn, meddlesome owner traded the best edge rusher in the NFL in his prime to a conference rival for 2 first-round picks and a player. These are my words of wisdom to you. You do not have to do this to yourself. You can quit. You do not have to care. You can divorce yourself from this team. You do not have to do this to yourself. Do you know who has played in a conference championship game more recently than the Dallas Cowboys? Everyone in the NFC. Also,
my Commanders.
Also, Notre Dame, who you may be familiar, isn't in a conference. They have played they played for the ACC title in the COVID year, remember? Yeah. They played for a conference championship more recently than the Cowboys. You don't have to do this to yourself anymore, especially if you're 30-something. You've never gotten anything good out of this relationship with the Dallas Cowboys. If you are 35 or younger and you've been a Cowboys fan your whole life, they've never given you anything. Don't wait around for them to give you something. Divorce, quit, walk away for your own good. We're back tomorrow from 3 to 6. For Brendan and Spencer, I'm Dan. Good night.